Hey guys, what's up? This is Sonic Soul here, and I'm just gonna cover some of the changes that we're seeing for Nash in these patch notes for Season 3 or Arcade Edition. Now, before I get into this, I just want to preface this with a few things. So the first thing is that a Street Fighter Twitter account from Capcom, specifically from Japan, the same place that has shown us the balance changes yesterday that the community has been translating, these changes stated by this Twitter account are not entirely final, and that a more proper balance change will be released for us to look at in the next couple of days. So on both Twitter and on my Twitch, when I was trying to translate as best as I could the Nash changes, which was no easy feat because my Japanese is very basic and Google Translate is not very accurate in translation. It was a hard feat, but I was able to pull off what I could. While I was doing that and on both platforms, I had people tell me numerous times that because Capcom said that these patch notes were not entirely final, that they should be invalidated or that most of the information on there is incorrect. Now, I would like to bring up 2 points here. The first is that I cannot say that everything in these changes are completely incorrect, because there are specific changes to specific characters. For instance, yes, I know it's not detailed in hitboxes and hurtboxes for each character's normals per se. However, there are specific changes, such as with Alex, right, where he does Lariat. His Lariat is now +7 on hit and has 4 active frames instead of 3 now. Or with Colleen, where her V skill is now +2 on hit and -8 on block, and that it reduced the gain you got for V meter on hit. All of these things, these are specific changes to characters, which means that I would not go in so far as to say that every change on this list is inaccurate or invalidated or incorrect. Most of these changes, I believe, are the direction at which Capcom wants the game to go, and while there are some things that could be added or removed, I would still heavily consider this list to be close to the final version that they want to release. The second thing is that obviously you have player accounts at PSX or Capcom Cup, where people played a build of Arcade Edition, which again Capcom said that that build was not the final build, of course. However, most of the changes in that build coincide with what we're seeing in this unofficial patch notes. So it's very clear that most of the player accounts and most of the footage that was released for AE from PSX, those can be shown as accurate, as well as showing the patch notes as accurate, because those two coincide well with each other. So it's pretty much a safe bet to say that most of these changes will probably appear on the final patch notes. There might be changes, there might be removals, or there might be additions, but in terms of what we're looking at right now, these are probably going to be the patch notes that we're going to get for Street Fighter V. So the last thing I just want to preface before I really get started is a bit of my credentials. I won't go too much in detail, but again, I've played Nash for 2 seasons. I'm a Super Diamond, if that really means anything now, and I've been to a lot of the East Coast majors really for Street Fighter V, particularly Season 2. I've been to ECT, Defend the North, and Winter Brawl. I've also been the next level from time to time and have played there, but more importantly, I've made videos like this before regarding the balance changes for Nash in both Season 2 and Season 2.5, and have shown comparisons between seasons, as well as have given a cohesive guide as to how these changes will affect Nash in terms of playing him. So I feel as though that I can give a credible amount of information regarding Nash. So I just want to put that out there before I go and start. So the first couple of changes for Nash is that his throws have been changed. The damage on them have been increased by 10 extra points. So the forward throw has been increased from 120 to 130 damage. His back throw has been increased from 130 to 140 damage. and his air throw has been increased from 130 damage to 140 damage. Now, most of these changes in terms of damage to throws can be seen across the entire cast, as almost every character has gotten their throws buffed in terms of damage. There are small exceptions like Cammy with her back throw being having reduced stun, but more or less these changes are kind of like universal throughout the cast. Not to mention that they have created another change which is universal, in that the active frames for normal throws have been increased from 2 frames to 3 frames. So this is going to make meatying your throws a bit easier. Now, another thing is that they've removed throw loops from the game. This can be seen apparent when we look at both Ken's and Ed's changes, in that throw loops, the properties of them have been, or like the throws have been changed in terms of their properties. Giles, too, his back throw, he no longer gets his mid-screen throw loop anymore. This can be validated if you look at both the Capcom Unity stream when they played Ken, and also at PSX with certain accounts of players. So basically the buff to Nash in general in terms of his throws, it's system wide. Like, everyone has these changes already, and he never really had a throw loop after season 1. So this is kind of more or less, it's a buff. Yeah, you could look at this as a buff, but not really a major one. Now the next change is standing medium kick. The active frames for it have been increased from 3 frames to 4 frames. Now this could mean 2 things. They want to obviously improve medium kick as an anti-air, right? Try to make it more active. Or they want to promote you using his new V-skill target combo, which was released in 2.5, which was his bullet combination. They probably want you to use that target combo more, considering that it's more active. They want you to throw out this medium kick a bit more. Not to mention, with it having an extra active frame, this could mean now that you could meaty this and go into standing medium punch on meaty hit. However, it will still be 0 on block. So moving along, another change is standing heavy kick. They changed the hitbox and hurtbox of the move. To what extent, we don't know. We'll have to wait. Maybe they'll explain something in the final patch notes. However, the damage has been increased from 80 to 90. So this is actually 10 points higher than what it was in Season 1. Now, I'm guessing, based on the majority of the changes here, that they're trying to promote consistent anti-air and try to make jump-ins a bit more scary. And in this case for Nash, the buff to damage is probably going to entice players to want to use it more, especially since they've also kind of adjusted hurt boxes with jumping heavy attacks across the board, and some anti-airs for other characters. For instance, Colleen and Laura and other characters. Like Laura, her standing medium punch has a hitbox behind her. Standing heavy kick for Colleen has a hitbox behind her. Again, this is all to make anti-airs a bit more, menacing. So again, we don't know the full changes of standing heavy kick in terms of its hitbox and hurtbox, but we can assume by the buff to the damage that they want you to use it more. And considering the global changes, this is an okay buff. This is still buffing him based on the overall system changes. So the next change is crouching light punch. They had adjusted the hurtbox to it. It's been changed. To what extent, we don't know, but I can assume that maybe they're trying to more or less make crouching light punch a bit more punishable by jump-ins. They don't want that particular button to be used as an anti-air, and I think they've kind of already done more or less that with standing light punch for Nash. Standing light punch can still be used as an anti-air somewhat, but not to the effect as it was used Season 1. The hitbox on it was of course changed. So I'm assuming that again they're just trying to make moves like this more punishable for people, so they don't just easily go to crouching light punch. Though then again, I don't really remember using crouching light punch as an anti-air for Nash. So we'll see what happens in the final patch notes, whether or not the hurt box has been changed specifically for another reason or not. Crouching medium punch, the hurt box and hit box for this move has been changed. Again, to what effect, we don't know. We'll have to wait for the final changes. I can assume, again, they're probably trying to promote this move as an anti-air if the hitbox for this move has been changed. probably want to promote this as an anti-air. If they nerfed it in some way, I don't know. I would highly doubt they would nerf crouching medium punch, considering it's one of Nash's main anti-air normals, and considering the past changes we've been looking at so far. Yeah, I kind of doubt that they're gonna like try to like hit this normal in a completely bad way. Maybe the hurt box has been adjusted to be shorter, but again, this is all speculation. We don't know. We'll have to see when the final patch notes come out. So the next change to Nash is crouching medium kick, and the hurt box for crouching medium kick has been changed. To what effect, we don't know. However, it can be inferred that it might be something negative, considering the following change after it is that its recovery has been increased from 15 frames to 17 frames. So it's basically recovering for 2 extra frames. They do make a note, however, that no changes have been made to it on hit or block stun, which basically means that the frames of it, the amount of advantage it has on hit and the amount of advantage it has on block is still the same. However, you know, someone has mentioned to me in my stream chat by the name of Shadokin, he's also part of the Nash Discord that I moderate. He mentioned that maybe because of the recovery being increased, that the V trigger cancel will be increased by +2, making crouching medium kick V trigger cancel +7 on V trigger cancel hit. I don't know if that's true because they would have listed that in the patch notes. Who knows, they might list it, but I'm not Capcom. I don't think they would. They specifically listed a V trigger cancel change in 2.5 when they mentioned that they quickened the timing for the V trigger cancel by 1 frame. So the fact that they didn't mention that has me skeptical to believe that assertion. But basically, to sum it up, they want this normal to be more whiff punishable so that you don't throw it out. And I don't kind of understand that, considering the fact that if you look at the general changes that they listed in the patch notes, they state that V triggers in the middle of a combo, so V triggers within combos, will now count as 2 moves instead of 1 for combo scaling purposes, which means that, like, say for instance you do crouching medium kick, V trigger cancel, back medium kick, heavy kick sight, that does a good amount of damage so far, right? That's going to be nerfed in Season 3. Like, the damage output on that is going to be reduced, and it's kind of understandable considering that, you know, they're incorporating V trigger 2. They don't want you to just be abusing crouch medium kick and going straight into V trigger 2, which is by all means a really good V trigger, in my honest opinion. But I don't see why they would nerf it from 15 to 17 frames if it's not that big of a threat outside of the V trigger cancel. It's literally just a poke to check people from walking back and forward. And even if, you know, you saw the opponent walking forward, you would use a normal that's cancelable, like crouching light punch, standing medium punch. You wouldn't use crouching medium kick unless you were trying to close out the round or you were trying to frame trap with crouching light kick. The point is, I don't really agree with this nerf, but it is a nerf nonetheless. So this next change is not just a Nash change, but it's a global change overall, right? So every character in the game has had this kind of adjustment. So for Nash, his jumping heavy punch and jumping heavy kick, the hurt boxes for them have been changed. Again, assuming if we look at all the other characters and what they're doing with Nash as well in terms of normals that would be used as anti-airs. So again, like standing medium punch with Laura, standing heavy kick as Colleen, as I mentioned before, you know, they're trying to more or less promote other normals to be used as anti-airs, right? And they're trying to scare people away from just jumping in, right? Which is not bad, right? But particularly for Nash's jumping heavy punch, the hitbox for it has been changed. For what purpose or for what reason or for how it's adjusted, I don't know. Hopefully it's good when we see the final patch notes. Now his spinning back knuckle, so this is his crush counter, his forward heavy punch, right? This is one of his crush counter normals. The hitbox for his forward heavy punch has been changed. Again, we don't know. We'll have to see when the patch notes come out. So the next change to Nash is to his V-skill target combo or bullet combination. So there are two specific changes. The first is that the circumstances on hit have been changed. So we can infer, if we look at all the other changes in this balance patch notes, if we look, so we got M. Bison, it says circumstances after landing forward throw have been changed. If you look at Ken, it says the circumstances after his knee bash, his forward throw, the circumstances after landing the throw have been changed. Nakali, the circumstances after landing the throw have been changed for his forward throw and his back throw. Ed has the same thing. So you can assume that it has something to do with its knockdown advantage because most of the throw loops in the game have been removed. So this has something to do with knockdown advantage. So bullet combination might be getting adjustments to its knockdown advantage on hit. So like if it hits you and the opponent gets knocked down, if you dash up to them, your advantage might be changed. It might be plus or negative. I'm assuming that they might want to make it plus, considering his V trigger 2 is going to be 3 bars, and they're going to probably want you to use this target combo a bit more. Right now on back rise after dash, it's plus 9, and on quick rise, if you dash, you're plus 8. So you can meaty stand fierce, you can meaty crouching heavy punch. So you might get more than just that come season 3. And also, bullet combination will grant more V gauge on hit. So this is to further constitute people, or to further entice people to want to use this V skill target combo more. So the next change is to his EX Sonic Boom. So now the second projectile speed is decided based on what button you use as the follow-up. So basically, when you throw EX Sonic Boom, you can now delay it for up to 4 frames since season 2. So like you can delay the second boom by 4 frames. So you have up to 4 frames to input a button for the second hit of EX Sonic Boom. But in this case now, not only do you have that delay, but now there is a particular speed. So you can play with the speed of the second projectile. So this is like good if you wanted to, let's say, stack the projectiles together, or you wanted the second projectile to go faster than the first one, or maybe you want to play with knockdown advantage. Regarding, there's so much to like really explore with EX Sonic Boom now that you can mess with the second hit of it. So this is definitely a good change. I do like it. It's going to give more like variety or something. It'll allow players to explore a bit more with EX Sonic Boom. Now the last two changes are to both Medium Kick Sonic Scythe and to Judgment Saber, or Nash's critical art, and both have had their airborne juggle points relaxed, or basically it's going to be easier to juggle with these two particular moves. The reason behind this is that if you look at V Trigger 2, right, Nash's V Trigger 2 has 2 distinct follow-ups that both launch the opponent, right? And they're going to be launching them high in the air, and they're probably going to want you to have an easier time to juggle both of these moves. Now, this is also kind of a buff because back in the beta, and I believe in bits of season 1, I'm not sure, and you could still kind of do it now in season 2.5. You can do things like EX Tragedy Assault, neutral jump heavy kick, and you delay the neutral jump heavy kick to the last point, and then you do medium kick Sonic Scythe, right? That might be easier to do in season 3 because of the, I guess, ease of airborne juggle points for medium kick Sonic Scythe. So this is kind of more or less a buff. It kind of increases his damage output a bit, and more or less it makes it easier to combo into these tools in V Trigger 2. So those are basically all of Nash's adjustments according to this particular list. We won't know the accurate or full adjustments until we get a complete version of the patch notes from Capcom. We won't know when, but it's safe to say that we can get a gist or a small taste of what Capcom wants Nash players to do with these particular changes come season 3. So what do I personally think about Nash's changes? So a lot of Nash players, myself included, have talked about time and time again how his defensive options are very lacking. He doesn't have a 3-frame jab or short. He doesn't have any 3-frame normal. He doesn't have an invincible reversal, and his V reversal, even if you let the full animation rip, can still be punished, right? So his backdash isn't so great either, and with jump back OS being removed, Nash doesn't really have a way to tackle the throw game in Season 2. So once you put him in the corner, he kind of just dies. You really have to guess. So with the global changes that happened to Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, it's very clear that with throw loops removed from the majority of characters, so you have like Nikali, Ed, Guile, Karin, Ken, a lot of those characters have throw loops in some way, shape, or form, either mid-screen or mostly in the corner. So with those removed, it makes it easier for Nash to be able to get out of situations that seemed almost impossible to do so. Not to mention, right, also they are adjusting jumping heavy punch and jumping heavy kick normals, not for just Nash, but for the entirety of the cast. So what this means is that most of the hurt boxes have been adjusted, and most of the anti-airs for most of the characters have been adjusted to hit behind them. For instance, you've had a character like Laura or Colleen, where if you read their patch notes, they had a description where like their standing medium punch, Laura's standing medium punch hits behind her, or a standing heavy kick for Colleen, part of the hitbox that hits behind her. This is all meant to help with characters being able to anti-air these particular normals like jumping heavy punch and jumping heavy kick, so that way characters don't just easily be able to stuff out most normals. And if you look at a lot of the changes regarding Nash's anti-airs, so let's look at standing medium kick. His active frames for that have been increased by 1 frame. Standing heavy kick has had its damage increased to 90. The hitbox may have been adjusted to be a bit better. Who knows? Crouching medium punch, the hitbox for it may have been adjusted to be a bit better. Hurt box has been changed. Maybe it's a bit better. Who knows, right? But the point is that they're making so many adjustments, particularly to anti-air moves. His air throw has been changed from 130 to 140. So a lot of the damage. So basically, if you look at all of these anti-air options and the global changes, you can see that they're basically buffing Nash's defensive options indirectly through the game. And then of course he has some notable buffs such as V-skill or bullet combination. Now the knockdown advantage on it might have changed, so it might have been better. It might be better, it might, who knows. I'm assuming that's the case, especially since it grants more V gauge on hit. So obviously, again, you know, he has V-skill and they want to promote it for V-trigger too. His EX Sonic Boom, you could play around with it now. The second projectile of it, you can use it for various things, so you might be able to create other combos. Instead of just doing EX Sonic Boom, you delay the second one and then do EX Tragedy Assault, right? You might be able to do something else. This will help in Fireball Wars, and this might also help with Okazeme, right? And then lastly, with Medium Scythe being adjusted for its airborne juggle points, so it's easier to juggle with it. Obviously, again, as I stated before, V-Trigger 2, they want to make it easier for you to combo with this. Afterwards, like if you land Justice Corridor or Justice Shell, they want to make Medium Kick Scythe easily comboable afterwards. Or they wanted to make it to where, hey, you can combo that Medium Kick Scythe after EX Tragedy Assault, V-Trigger Cancel, Neutral Jump Heavy Kick. They want to make it so where you don't have to late cancel, or you don't have to delay the Neutral Jump Heavy Kick before Medium Kick Scythe. You could just do Medium Kick Scythe afterwards, right? So things like this, these are more like quality of life things and global changes that will help to make the character overall better. So in terms of defense, so that's what I personally think about Nash. He's not like, I don't know if he's going to be top tier. I don't know if he's going to be whatever tier, but he's definitely going to be somewhat better because of the overall changes in the game. So that's what I think about Nash overall for Season 3. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys learned something, or you enjoyed the video, or you found this helpful, definitely leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, I do stream on twitch.tv/sonic_soul. There I stream pretty much on Friday and Saturday. But I also try to stream on days I'm free as well, so follow that up. You can follow me on Twitter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.